and welcome to episode 13 of the She.Must.Knit podcast. My name is Erin, and thank you so much for spending some of your time with me today. I hope you guys had a great week. I had a really good week. Last episode, I was talking about how I had still been kind of recovering from the bunch of shows that I've been doing lately, and that there was just a whole bunch of background stuff that was taking up a lot of time. So I didn't feel like I was getting all the knitting time that I usually get. Well, this week was the first time where I felt like I was getting back to my normal schedule and I was able to do some knitting during the day and some crafting. So I have a fair amount of things to show to you this week, and I'm really excited about it. So let's get started. I have my iced coffee today. It's been a lovely week this week. It hasn't been too hot. We had a few days that were really like 36 sweltering. This week has been very pleasant. So I have my iced coffee today. It's my usual chocolate flavor. It's just so good in iced coffee. And I have a guest with me today. Okay, so forewarning. You know, the last couple of episodes, Mr. T has been quite the little troublemaker and getting all in my business and just causing a ruckus. And so today I was like, okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to record just a little bit earlier because the last couple of weeks I've been doing it in the evenings when Avery goes to her soccer practice. And so I've been doing it in the evenings, and you know cats can be a little crazy in the evenings. So I was like, today I'm going to be smart. I am going to wait until he goes for his afternoon, 12-hour nap. And I've been waiting, and he has just been following me around like a little puppy today. And I just decided, I can't wait anymore. And so he's on the table here with me. He's all squinty-eyed and cute, so he is chilling out, and hopefully he'll behave. And you know why he's here? You know why? Because he knows that I'm going to talk about a certain project that he has been absolutely obsessed with, and he's hoping I am going to put it down and look away, and he can snatch it and run off with it. So we'll see when I get to that. But yeah, so far he's been good. Hopefully he will continue to be good. If he gets if he gets up and there's craziness and shaking, I'll try and edit it out. But just be warning, there is a cat in the room. So my first project that I'm going to talk about, I have a finished object for you. Finally, I have been wanting to have this done for probably over a month. I honestly don't remember when this knit along started, but I was really good at the beginning, showing you all my progress and keeping up with the clues. And then prep for the Kawartha show happened, and the course of the Kawartha show happened, and it kind of fell off the radar. But this week I was able to get back to it, and I finished it up, and I am so happy with how it turned out. So I have my finished Barber Prime Fuzzy Mitten Mystery Knit Along, which is no longer a mystery toy, to show you. If you remember, the Mystery Knit Along it came with two toys. So the first two clues that we had were for the companion toy, and I showed you that one before, and that was the little fairy, and here she is. So there's the little fairy. This was the companion toy, little fairy, so cute. I'm really happy with how she turned out, and I've been having her sitting up there as my little yarn fairy, and I think that's where she's going to go back because I really like her, and I think she looks cute there. And then the next couple of clues were for the main toy. And when these clues started, there was a whole bunch of speculations in the group, and everybody was guessing it was a unicorn. And it did end up being a unicorn. And so I finished my unicorn. I showed you, I think last week, I had the body done. And remember, I had to make two bodies because of someone who is sitting on my table right now who will not be named. And I had to make two bodies because he kept running off with that first body, and it just got mangled. I actually have it here in case I need to distract him. But yeah, so this was the first body, and it is completely mangled now, and it could not be used. So I had to make another body, and then I had the arms done, and I think I had the tail done, and that's as far as I got last week. Well, this week I have the finished toy to show you. He's got his eyes closed, so hopefully he won't notice me showing you this. It'll be very quiet. And here she is. I am really happy with how this unicorn turned out. So yes, I had the arms done last week, and I had the tail, and I was showing you with the tail how I had used a multicolor yarn. I don't have it with me. I think I put it away. But it was just variegated yarn from my scrap bin, and how I had knotted it in, and then I was just splitting the plies. It was a 4-ply worsted weight, and I was splitting the plies to give it more of a hair-like look. And so I finished the tail, and then I did the same thing with the mane. Now, correction, I think last week I said that this was something that the designer Barbara Prime had in her pattern. I'm going to pop in a picture of the her version of the Unicorn and Fairy with a picture of my finished version, so you can compare the two, because all toys look different. I find that absolutely fascinating with toy knitting, how everybody kind of puts their own spin and personality, especially when doing the features. But I thought she had split her plies, and that's why I said, oh, it's really clever. She's got a splitting of plies, so it looks like more like hair. I don't think she did. I think what she did is she mixed in some mohair strands with her yarn, and that's why I thought it looked more like the single plies, but I don't think she split her plies. But I still decided to do it because I really like how it turned out. I think it just takes it away from looking like just yarn into more hair-like. So I also didn't have her, in the pattern she says to do the hair all the way around the horn and then have it sweep over to the side. I just kind of did it to the side of each horn. But yeah, so that's her rainbow hair. And then I found these safety eyes in my stash. They're kind of, I don't know if you can tell, they're kind of glittery. I think they suit her really well. They're 15mm eyes. And I cut out some felt circles that were just a little bit bigger than the eyes, and then I added a dramatic wing to her eyes, just to give it, I don't know, a little bit more pizzazz. So I like how that turned out. And because like you can put those on before you fasten the eyes, like if they looked horrible, I just wouldn't have done them, but I kind of liked how they looked, so I left those in. I didn't stitch in a mouth. In a pattern they have you stitch in a mouth. I decided not to do that. I liked how it looked without it. But yeah, overall I'm really happy with how this turned out with the little fairy. I think it's really cute. One thing I would do, I think if I were to make this again, is use a slightly smaller yarn, a thinner yarn for the horn. I think it's a bit big in proportion to her head. And then to use like a sparkly yarn or something so that the horn was sparkly, I think that would be really cool. So I would make this again. I don't know if I will, but I enjoyed the pattern and I would make this again. And if this interests you, or if just the style of toy, her patterns are like $2.99. It's ridiculous. So she has great patterns. She has tons of different animals. If you like knitting the toys for yourself or for kids, any animal, most animals that, you know, kids tend to be drawn to, she probably has a pattern for them. All her patterns are knit flat. If you're really comfortable with knitting in the round, I think they could be easily adapted. Like the little fairy, most of her I did adapt to knit in the round. And then when I got to the unicorn, I just decided I just wanted to follow the pattern as is and not do any thinking. So I just knit her flat, and then all the seams are at the back and stuff. But I enjoy seaming, so that wasn't a big deal. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with her. Now I'm torn. I'm torn what to do with this, because I was going to give it to my friend, and I could still do that. Like my friend's daughter, her birthday is in June, and we're trying to get together soon. But the other thing is, like, it's a toy, and if you have kids or if you know kids, I have a kid. They have a lot of toys, and like sometimes when people give you more toys, you're like, oh my god, no more toys, we have enough toys. So I'm kind of torn about giving this to her and then her just being like, oh my god, another stuffy, like we have no more room for stuffies. But if I keep it, I don't know where I'm gonna put it. Like, okay, so you remember last episode, Mr. T came and snatched it off the table and ran upstairs, and so I put it up on the shelf here so that he couldn't reach it. And I had left it there. And then the next morning, when I woke up in the morning, it was in our bedroom. So he had climbed up the shelf and got it and like dragged it upstairs. And then all this week while working on this, I have had to put, like, if I work on it and I finish it, I have to like put it in a zippered bag, because he just keeps going. He kept going for all the pieces. I put a little video on Instagram, and if I can figure out how to put in a little video clip, I'll try and do that. But this was my life this week. This was my life.
The largest cartel of all time. The brothers of Polygon estimated $7 billion a year. The country was not in the hands of the people, it was in the hands of...
And so yeah, I don't know if I keep it, where am I going to put it? That he can't get at it, but I can still enjoy it. So I don't know. I might still give it to my friend. Let me know what you think. Still not sure what I'm going to do. So now, he is still sleeping. He's got his paws on my next project though, so little rascal. I'm going to put this very quietly back in the bag, and hopefully he won't be tempted to go for it, because he is just trouble. Alright. So, that is that, and he is, see, he's totally sleeping. Why couldn't he go to one of his bazillion spots that I don't know where they are in the house and have his little nap there? He's adorable, but he's like having a small child, like where anytime you want to do something and you don't want to be interrupted, you have to wait till they're sleeping. So I tried to do that today, but it didn't work out. Anyway, next project. Last week I showed you, I hadn't started yet, I just showed you the yarn. That I was going to be casting on a new test knit for Stephanie Lotven. I really love her children's designs. I love her adult designs too, but they're ones that don't really fit into my wardrobe, but I love how they look. But her kids' designs I really, really love, and they fit into Avery's wardrobe really well. So she posted this test knit, and I jumped on it. And so I started it this week, and I love how it is turning out. I've got the bottom part done, so I'll just get it up here. There's a lot of different yarns with this, so here it is. Look how fun this is. Oh, I hope Avery loves this and that she loves wearing this, but I've got the start of it done. So when you first look at the finished picture, like the finished project page, it looks like a very simple tee with just some color changes and a stitch design on the top. And not to say that this isn't simple, but there's more to it than, There's more to it than meets the eye. Anyway, so the bottom part here is not just a rib. It was like a garter, and there's slip stitches and stuff like that. So you use one color down here and do the band, and then you bring in another contrast color for this purple row right here, and there is like a special stitch pattern that you do there. And then you bring in your main color, and my main color is this like gray with rainbow pops from Spunwear Over the Rainbow. And you bring in your main color, and you start doing another pattern sequence. So you're doing so many rows just plain, and then you're doing a row, you can see right here, of that same stitch pattern that was used down here with the purple. So now that's the section that I'm in now, where I just have to knit straight for the amount of inches until I get to the underarm and split for the front and back. And then every couple of rows I do this special stitch. And I really like how it's working up with this yarn. I really like how this yarn is working up. I think it looks like I'm changing colors way more often than I am. And I love how the pink in here is picking up the pink from the trim. And then once you get to where you get up to the top of the bodice, you're supposed to bring in the contrast color. So if I was following the pattern, you use 3 colors, and so I'd be bringing back in this pink and then doing this stitch along the bodice with the purple. But I am going to be, because I'm using minis, I'm going to be bringing in these 2 other minis and kind of fading up to the bright pink. So the bright pink is going to end up towards her face, and then this is going to be in the middle, the bright and speckled, and then this pale pink. So once I finish the amount for the main color and switch to the next contrast color, I'm going to be starting with that pale pink, going to the pink multi, and then the bright pink at the top. Meanwhile, popping in this purple in the special, like the little rows of stitches that you see in the picture. So I'm creating more work for myself, I realize that. But again, trying to use stash and the colors that Avery likes, pink and purple. And I think it will look really cute. Now, if you like the idea of this pattern, but all these different stitches kind of throw you off, they're very easy. But if they're kind of like, oh, I just want something that I don't really have to think about, I think it would be very easy to follow this pattern with just a rib on the bottom, stocking knot for the body. I probably would still put in those rows of the I'll call it the star stitch. I don't think that's what she called it, but they look like little stars going across. I probably still would put those in, but you could very easily do the rest of the pattern just in stocking it and not have to worry about the texture that the stitch gives you. But yeah, so that's my progress, and it is still in test mode, but I will definitely tell you when it is released. It should be, I think it's going to be in July sometime, but she usually gets her patterns out fairly quickly once the testing is done. So I can't wait to get that done. I think it is going to be adorable on Avery. I hope she really likes it. It is knit on a bigger gauge because it's more of a summer garment, so the stitches are looser. So I'm hoping to block it out nice and airy, and it will be so nice just to kind of throw on with some leggings or something. So I'm really excited to get that done. I hope I get a fair amount of work on it done on it this week. So that's my knitting work in progress, and then I have one more project to share with you. And of course, I gave him something to sleep on, and is he sleeping on that? No, he is sleeping on the thing I want to show you. However, it is not the collection, so I should be happy with that. I'm going to try and gracefully ease this. Oh, he's so cute. I hate disturbing him. I'm sorry. Well, you're on my thing. You're on my thing. Anyway, got it. Okay, he's going back to sleep. So this week I got a little bit of other crafting done, so not just knitting. I've been wanting to make a particular sewing project for probably over a month, and originally it was something that I'm like, I can figure this out. Like, if I just sit down and, you know, do some measurements, I can figure out how to put something like this together. And sometimes that extra step just keeps you from doing it. Like, you know, I had to sit down and try and figure this out. So this week I was like, you know what? I am sure that other people have this same, like, I don't want to call it a problem, but this, you know, problem that I have, and surely there is a tutorial out there for this thing I want to make, and there was. So what I wanted to make, I'm just bringing up the blog here, what I wanted to make was a little bag that, you know, Avery goes to the park with her dad a lot, and she always wants to bring stuff everywhere. Do you have small children? Do they want to bring stuff everywhere? She wants to bring stuff everywhere. And so I wanted to make a little bag that could attach to the handlebar of her bag or of her bike or her scooter, that she could put her little toys in and bring to the park, or if she found stuff at the park that she had to bring home, that she could put it in there, and so that, you know, Daddy or if I had her at the park, wouldn't have to be like shoving all these things in our pockets. So I went online and, you know, trusty old Google, I typed in, you know, handlebar bag tutorial, and boom, something popped up. And the very first thing that popped up was sew a handlebar bag for kids. And I went to the blog. The blog is called Make It Love It. But if this is something you are interested in, all you have to do is type in handlebar bag tutorial and it will come up. But she was explaining kind of like how, like, my reasoning for wanting to make this. She was, you know, in her little intro was explaining her reasoning for wanting to make this. And I'm just going to read you the second paragraph that she has, because, yeah, I read it and I was just like, done. This is me. Yes, I'm going to follow your tutorial. So her second paragraph was like, my daughter is a collector. She is always picking up rocks, leaves, flowers, pine cones, ... anything she finds while we are out, and wanting to save all her treasures and bring them home, which usually means I'm stuck carrying them. Yes. And added to her treasures and nature and stuff, like, my kid collects garbage. She'll find like shiny wrappers on the floor and want to bring them home to do crafts with. So yes, I wanted to make a bag that she could stick on her bike or her scooter and just put all her stuff in. So I followed her tutorial, and this is what I got. I think it turned out pretty cute. So I used some My Little Pony fabric that I got off of, where do I buy it? Fabric Monkey, I think. I'll link it down below. But there's a Canadian, if you're looking for Canadian place to online order fabric from that has cute novelty prints, I do use this one a lot. So I'll put the link down below. But I ordered some My Little Pony fabric because she does like My Little Pony. and I made the little bag, and it was probably, not including cutting out the pieces. I mean, really, there was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 pieces. There was 8 pieces. It took no time to sew up. So yeah, there's these little strappies here, and this is what, now I did Velcro. I might have to change that. She had snaps written into the pattern, but I thought it would be easier for Avery to do Velcro herself than like these big snaps that you have to put a lot of pressure on. So I did Velcro. And I'll have to test these out and see how much weight they hold. But these little loops go on the bar of the bike or the scooter. And then you have this bag. And I had this button in my stash, and you use some elastic. And so all she has to do is undo the button, and she's got this giant bag. And I put, this is that fabric, or I don't know, yeah, I guess it's fabric, that people use in like reusable diapers, so it's water resistant. So I put that on the inside so that if she had, her water bottle, or if she put something like disgusting in there, that I could easily just wipe it out and clean it up. So it wasn't going to affect this fabric as much. I should still be able to put this in the washer, but I put some wipeable fabric on the inside, and it's a nice, decent size. And then you just kind of fold over the edge and do up the little button. So I'm going to give it to her now. I didn't tell her that I had finished it because I wanted to show you, and I knew as soon as I showed her, she would have it on her bike filled with stuff. So now I can give it to her when she gets home from school today. But yeah, I'm going to test it out. As I was making it, like, it's like a lot of things. The first time you do it, like recipes, right? The first time you try a new recipe, you usually follow it exactly. And then you might come up with ideas about how you would do something differently. And it's the same with this one. So now that I've made one, I would consider maybe making a second one, but doing, instead of the Velcro loops that go around the bar, having like those like locking, like, with like a seat belt or a belt or something, the locking things, you know what I'm talking about, the locking things. So that I just know, like, it doesn't matter how much she put in there, it wouldn't come undone. And then I don't know, I'll have to see how that opening works, but I might consider doing like more of a drawstring opening or something that can shut tight, but then can also be, she can easily open herself. So I might be making another one and tweaking that slightly, but I think for the most part that that design will work. So if that's something that you need in your life, I will link that blog post below. And if you like doing any kind of other sewing, she had a ton of tutorials on that blog. Like, not just sewing, like she had crafts, and she had, I think, recipes and tons of stuff. So it's worth a look. But yeah, so that's the other crafty thing that I got done this week. And I think those are all my projects. So now I have the collection. And last week we had a battle of 2 second place finishers from previous week's votes. And it was the Moths and Butterflies versus the Woodland Creatures. And guys, the Moths creamed the Woodland Creatures. Like, in the previous votes, they had only lost by 1 vote to whatever the other fabric was, and I think the Moths had double the votes of the Woodland Creatures. So I went with the Moths, and I really, really, really had fun playing with the colors in this fabric. So he is not sitting on the collection this week, so I can show you with ease. So here it is. I got the bags done, and I got 3 of the wee sidekicks done, and then 1 regular pouch. Now, I didn't do the little extra detail on the front with the clasp because this was a bigger scaled print. It didn't seem to matter where I put that little strip. It was covering the moths in a way that I didn't want them covered. So I just decided to do my regular ones. And I have 2, so here they are here. I love these colors. And they're not colors I would pick out, but I just love how they look together. So I have 2 with the blue bottom. So here I have 2 with the blue bottom. And then I did 1 with a pink bottom. So I have 1 of these. So 3 wee sidekick bags. And then I have 1 of just my regular squishy pouch that is great for throwing in a bigger bag. I have 1 of these. And then for the yarn, I have 1 sock blank and 1 worsted weight skein. So I had said before how I had used up all my yarn for the Kawartha prep, and I am waiting on a yarn shipment. And so I had to like dig into the depths of my like bare supply, and this is what I had. I could only do one sock blank and one skein, but I think they turned out really cool. And if you really like this color, because I only have one, I think I could dye this again. So this is the sock blank. So you can see there's like the navy base, and then there's the areas of the cream, and then there's all these little areas of that green and the pink, and then the speckles. And so yeah, I really, really like how this one turned out. This is the sock blank. There'll be one of those in the shop. And then I have a skein of worsted, and I really like how this turned out too. So again, it's the navy with the cream, and then all these like there's little pops of green and the pink and the speckles. So this is a worsted weight, like superwash merino worsted weight. And I have one of those. So those should be in the shop by the time you see this. And then I have this week's vote. So first up, I just really like the colors in this. I think this is going to be a lot of fun to play with. So your first choice is, I think we'll just call this like blooms. I don't know. They look like little mini poppies. Like the little red ones and orange ones look like little poppies. I don't know what the other flowers are. But I just think this is a really, really nice combination. Like, you know, I love my red and aqua together. But then there's like this mustard here, and the blue, and like the green. And I just think this could translate in a very interesting way to yarn. So this is your first choice, the blooms. And then your second choice, actually the colors in this are very similar, but just slightly, there are similar colors, but then there's different ones too. So your next choice is, I thought this was really cute. And so this is just a shelf of shelves and shelves and shelves of books, like, you know, a giant library of books. So this is the second choice, the books. And I think this would be really cute too. So those are your choices this week. Blooms or books, and yeah, let me know down below, and remember, any comments on any of my videos will give you an entry towards a monthly draw that I do for a $20 gift certificate in my shop. So let me know what you think about this week's collection, or, you know, the projects, or let me know what you've been working on. I'd love to hear about it. But that's all I have for this week, so I hope you enjoyed this episode. Mr. T was very, very good today. He is still passed out on top of the bag that I gave him to sleep on, so he has been very good. So thank you, Mr. T. And yeah, I will talk to you soon. I hope you have a great week and get to do lots of crafting and make all the things, and I will talk to you soon.